So today we're going to talk about the Retroid Pocket 4 Pro from my perspective, which is somebody that's never owned one of these emulation handheld machines. I'm going to talk about why it's so popular, what I'm playing on it, do I like it, do I recommend it, or is there maybe a better choice? Dun dun dun. And spoilers, I think there actually might be a better choice for some people, but that doesn't mean I don't absolutely love this thing. I've been playing it a whole bunch, so let's get into it. All right, so first off, let's kind of get into like what the hell is this thing? Why is it special? You know, why is it blowing up the internet? So I've watched a lot of other people's videos and I've learned a lot about this over the past month. So I kind of want to distill this into a lot of the big things that I learned over the past month. And first off, everyone always says, this is running Android 14, Android 11.24. I'm like, I don't know what the hell any of that is because I've never had an Android phone. I've never used an Android device. But basically, the Android operating system is what people use when they have an Android phone. You probably know that. Half of the population knows that, and the other half of the population owns an iPhone like me. But why that's significant is because Android runs the Google Play Store, and the Google Play Store actually has emulators that you can download for free on your phone, which just blows my mind. This whole time I could have been playing Pokemon on my phone. So you might be asking me, okay, well, your phones run these emulators. What's so special about one of these machines? And first off, this one has this has joysticks and it has little buttons and it looks cool and it reminds you of an old Super Nintendo, right? It's awesome. And second, this is actually cheaper than a lot of phones. There are gaming specific phones, but they're like $1,000 bucks, $2,000 bucks. This thing is $200. It has shoulder buttons, it's made for playing games, you know? It's like a Game Boy. And they've had these for a while, but the reason why this one is so special is because this is the first time that you've been able to emulate GameCube, PlayStation 2, PlayStation Portable, little PlayStation Vita, and even a little bit higher on something under $200. Well, I guess it's at $200, but basically this is just like the perfect price point where you're able to play those games you played growing up on Super Nintendo, Nintendo 64, GameCube, PlayStation, PlayStation 2, Game Boy Advance, all of those systems that you played growing up, you can play on this thing. And in my experience, you can play them like almost flawlessly. Like I know there's people out there that probably hate that statement and that you're really purists, you know, you really love, you know, latency and everything has to be absolutely perfect for you. And I get that, but for me, I don't really care. I don't really care. As long as I can have fun, I can play these games. They're not, you know, chugging along and skipping a bunch of frames. I'm having a good time. So what have I been playing on the Retroid over the past month? Well, before I get into that, I just want to say one thing about that. It takes a bit of time to set these things up. They're not super user friendly. You have to download emulators. You have to go into the settings. You have to figure out how to do all of this. I will leave a link in the description to another amazing channel. Y'all probably already know who this is. This guy's huge. You know, hundreds of thousands of followers. This is the guy that I watched to set up my handheld. And I'm just gonna warn you, it's gonna take like 2, maybe 3 hours if you've never done this before. It's confusing. And then there's the whole issue of like emulators and ROMs. Where do you get the ROMs? Where do you get the emulators? How do you get everything run? Everyone on YouTube's like, oh, I'm not gonna get into that because I'm gonna get in trouble. Well, I am gonna get into that a little bit, at least enough for you to figure this out on your own. Because the question that I had was like, okay, say I have an emulator for a Super Nintendo. How do I know like what ROM to get that will play, you know, with that emulator? And just the answer to that I found is that just download a ROM and play it and it'll probably work. Now, I'm sure there's use cases where that's not the case and or like you need to use this specific emulator with a specific ROM, blah, 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 blah. If you're into that, find another channel that's gonna get into those very nitty-gritty specifics. But I'm just gonna tell you right now, if you're looking for a ROM, just use Google, just type it in. Just type in ROMs on Google. It'll be there, trust me. And then download one, make sure you don't accidentally click an ad and download spyware. It is the risk you're gonna have to take. And then just boot it up. And I know that sounds really simple. It's more complicated than that. Again, I'm leaving a guide for somebody else that has really, you know, will give you those nitty-gritty details. But just FYI, it's pretty simple. Just Google the stuff you're looking for and you're gonna be able to get it. So what are the games that I've been playing on the Retroid Pocket 4 Pro? Now, I've downloaded a ton of games. You end up spending more time downloading games than actually playing games when you first get into this because you just get so excited. So some of the games that I downloaded and have been playing are Skies of Arcadia, Tony Hawk Underground, Pokemon, Final Fantasy Tactics, Valkyria Chronicles. Am I saying that right? Valkyria Chronicles 2, the second one. Valkyria Chronicles 2, Wind Waker, and a few others. When you do go back to these old games, it feels a little bit off. It feels like maybe the controllers aren't right, but really what that is that these older games are pre-dual joysticks. I mean, the PlayStation 2 games, I guess, had them, but a lot of these games were played on like a Nintendo 64 or even a GameCube controller. Inverted controls, you're dealing with a lot of that stuff. But as far as the games are running, they are running great. Sometimes you gotta up the fan. With Tony Hawk Underground, it will stutter a bit when I first get to like a new map, when you first load up a map or something. You have a little bit of stutters. After that, it played really, really well. I did go and buy a Bluetooth controller to play with this thing because you can also plug this little boy into a big external monitor, your TV or something. So I wanted to have this kind of double as a console. And I have to say, it's not so great. Playing a game like Tony Hawk Underground, a little bit of latency over Bluetooth is actually going to make enough of a difference where I just really don't want to play it with a Bluetooth controller. You can play it with the actual device on the TV, so that's a little better, but the controls are not amazing on this little guy, at least not for all games. Now, if you love RPGs like I do, you want to go back and play your backlog of Final Fantasy games, old JRPGs, things like that, this is going to be solid. You don't need to have amazing controls for that. You just need a D-pad and a couple of buttons, right? And that brings me to a recommendation for another handheld console, one that I don't have, but that I've heard a lot of other people say has much better ergonomics, and that's the Odin 2. I hate that I just bought this Retroid Pocket 4 and because I love it so much, it looks so cool, I love it, and then people just are talking about this other one, and I'm like, you know what, god damn it, those controls just look a little bit more, you know, feels like it'll fit in my hand just a little bit better than the Retroid. I don't regret this purchase, I love it. I actually mostly play RPGs, so I'm having a great time with it. You can also put this one in your pocket, where I think the Odin is a little bit less, you know, pocketable. Battery life on both of them seem great. This one, I can get like 5 hours if I'm playing, you know, like a Super Nintendo game or something, or a Game Boy Advance game. So just be aware of that. This is not for everybody. And, you know, I actually do have the Steam Deck, and I could just emulate all of these games on the Steam Deck, and honestly, they'd run better and it'd feel better. I just have been keeping my Steam Deck for just my Steam library. You know, maybe at some point I'll go and I'll try to do some emulation on it, but it's been fun to kind of have this be my emulation device and then have the Steam Deck be where I play my Steam library. There is a non-pro version of this thing, and a lot of people are ignoring it because it's not gonna play the GameCube games or your PlayStation 2 games, and that's kind of why this one's so amazing. But if you haven't played Game Boy Advanced games, like if you haven't gotten into that library or even the Super Nintendo library, the regular non-pro version is gonna play those ones really well. And to be honest, those libraries are actually bigger and better than you would think. There's so many games on Game Boy Advanced that I'm playing on here that I don't really need that extra horsepower for. But then again, there also are cheaper handhelds that will play those consoles at a bit of a cheaper price point. You know, there are so many different handhelds out there, and you know, once you buy one, you kind of just want to keep getting another one and another one. So, you know, I would recommend getting the Pro because it is going to take care of some of those other consoles, some of those other things that you would maybe eventually want to buy another handheld for to emulate. For $50 extra, you're gonna be able to get all of that power in just one device. All right, I think that pretty much wraps up my thoughts about this little guy. I absolutely love it. I think it's so fun. I don't think I'm gonna make any more specific videos about the Retroid Pocket 4, but some of the games that I'm playing, maybe I'll do some retrospectives and do some reviews. I've already almost beat Tony Hawk Underground. I've been playing it so much. Let me know in the comments, what game would you emulate on this thing if you had one? Or if you have one, which game are you playing on it? Let me know in the comments. Please give me a like, subscribe, all that fun stuff. I will be making more YouTube videos. I know I've been on a bit of a hiatus. Frankly, I moved. I just did like a big move. I got a new job and I got engaged. A lot of big life things happening right now, which are totally awesome. But I'm still gonna be making YouTube videos, so please like, subscribe, all of that fun stuff. Look forward to more videos. When Final Fantasy VII Rebirth actually comes to PC, I'm absolutely gonna be playing that one, hopefully by this summer. All right, until next time, see you guys later. Bye-bye, bye-bye.